Welcome back to part 3 of how I make my rosaries. This will be the last and final video. You're going to need a long string of wire. I like to use the distance basically from one arm to the middle of my chest. After that, you're going to grab the centerpiece, since we're done with the pendant, and you're going to put it in the plier holder thing. And then grab a crimp bead tube and thread it onto the wire, and then thread that through one of the holes in the centerpiece. Afterwards, you're going to tuck in one end of the wire through the crimp tube and slide the crimp tube all the way up so that way you can crimp it in place. Just like how I showed you in the previous video, but I'll put another screenshot of what the up-close image looks like here. Make sure that the wires are not crossed and then flip it over again so that you can round it out. It helps if you're organized. After this, I like to separate 10 6mm beads, which will be the Hail Marys, the 4 Our Fathers, which is going to be for the 4 decades, and then I get started with the beading. So right away, you're going to start threading the Hail Marys. In between each of these, I like to put 2 spacer beads, and then I will put 3 spacer beads before I get to the next Our Father bead. Make sure you're keeping count of all your beads, which is why I recommend separating them ahead of time. So you'll see here that I straighten out the string, and then I will go ahead and do the 3 spacer beads, like I said, before the Our Father. This is where I'll put in my first bead cap before I put on the 8mm bead, and then I will put on the next bead cap to cup it over. And here's a bit of a close-up so you can see better what I'm talking about. You continue on that pattern until you're done with all 4 decades, and then you're going to take your rosary off of the pliers and you're going to tuck in the wire that's sticking out back in to the ends of the other beads, so that way it's just nice and neat. After you have it all hidden in, you're going to reconnect the centerpiece and move on to the next step, which is tying the centerpiece off. So completing the rosary. So you're going to grab the wire and you're going to grab another crimp bead tube and you're going to put that onto the wire. And then once again, you're just going to thread it through the other part of the centerpiece. Flip it parallel so that you can tighten up the crimp bead without crossing the wires. And then you flip it back over flat so that you can round it out. After this, you can either tuck the wire into the beads if you're able to. Personally, I just take my wire cutters and I cut off the excess wire before I then use the crimp bead covers, which again, I'll put in a screenshot here.